fishermen can work underwater for up to 3 minutes without breathing. They have acquired this ability gradually over time. This is, of course, an unusual situation, requiring an equally unusual ability. Most people need to breathe in fresh air every few seconds. For this reason, where sufficient air is not freely available for breathing, an alternative must be provided by some artificial means. For most seafarers, or other workers having to enter spaces which may be oxygen deficient, this air is provided by a self-contained portable breathing apparatus. To use these BA sets safely and conveniently, wearers need to undergo a suitable training program. This video illustrates some of the main procedures that must be followed in order to work safely with breathing apparatus. Human beings require air, or more precisely, oxygen, to support various life processes inside the body. The amount of oxygen needed at any time varies, mainly depending on the body's energy requirements.
That's very good.
For example, during rest, a human being may only use 16 to 20 litres of air a minute. When wearing a BA set, especially if it's during an emergency operation, this figure can rise to 40 litres of air each minute due to the raised stress level of the wearer. Then, if extra heavy work is performed at the same time, 50 to 60 litres of air may be consumed. Why is this? When physical effort is exerted, the body requires more oxygen. Fresh air contains 21% oxygen. This value cannot change, and that is why the only way to get extra oxygen is to increase the breathing rate. This aspect is particularly important when considering the safe use of breathing apparatus in an emergency. On board ship and ashore, emergencies can arise where the atmosphere may have been contaminated by toxic fumes, or the oxygen level may be below the safe limit of 21%.
There is one casualty.
One casualty.
Self-contained breathing apparatus is used to provide clean, safe air in these situations. It is convenient, easy to use, and provides the wearer with breathable air for a period of time, limited by the volume of air in the cylinder attached to it. So, how do BAs work? Of the many different types of BA set used round the globe, most modern BA sets will have a cylinder of air at either 207 or 300 bar pressure, mounted on a backplate. Air travels through a cylinder valve, and then through a first stage pressure reducer. Next, there is a high pressure line that takes the air to a pressure gauge and warning whistle assembly. A low pressure line takes the air to a demand valve, which houses the first breath mechanism and a bypass valve. The demand valve is attached to a face mask. Let's see the system on a Cyber Centurion set.
We'll start by putting the cylinder onto the backplate. Make sure it goes under the strap and enters the yoke. Check the O-rings in place and fasten the cylinder. Finger tight connection only. Make sure it's all nice and tight. Fasten the butterfly. We now connect the face mask to the demand valve. You'll notice that there's two lugs on the demand valve. They're located in the two slots in the face mask. Make sure it's pointing outwards. Turn it till it clicks. And that is the set ready to be donned. High pressure air travels from the first stage reducer up the high pressure hose and into this assembly, which is the gauge and whistle assembly. The gauge tells us what's in the cylinder at any one time, and we should be making regular gauge checks to ensure that we have enough air while we're in the risk area. The little red sector is our emergency only sector and equates to approximately 10 minutes use, although hard work can reduce the amount of air available to us. The manufacturers can't guarantee that when we're in this red sector that we're getting positive pressure from the set. We should be well out of the risk area before we're into the red sector, because the red sector equates to our whistle sounding. The whistle will sound at between 45 and 40 bars and will use approximately 2 litres of air a minute. Reduced air travels up the low pressure hose into the demand valve where it is further reduced. It's coming down to millibars of pressure now, where on demand it enters the face mask. As we breathe in, we create areas of low pressure and air comes into the mask. To bring up about these is the donning of the face mask. It's quite important that we do this in a controlled manner. Make sure before we put one on that all the harness points are slackened off. Okay? We enter our chin into the face mask, put the spider behind our head, and we pull the straps backwards. Bottom two and then the top two. Not holding it on our faces and pulling one side and then the other side, nor is it pulling outwards. I'll demonstrate the correct procedure of putting it on, and then I'll show you what not to do.
Of course, during use, the top strap should also be adjusted as required.
Simple as that, gents. Alright, gents, any questions?
Yeah, I'm just a little concerned. Will it give me enough air, you know, the sort of air that I'm going to require when I'm inside a toxic atmosphere?
Yes, definitely. These sets are designed, when it's all complete, to give you positive pressure. By that I mean that the pressure inside your face mask will be higher than the toxic atmosphere that you're in. And we check that when we do our daily check by inserting a finger just between our face and the seal and letting some air escape outwards. We hear it rush out, so we know for a fact that we have positive pressure. If any time you want more air or you want to take a breather, operate your bypass valve. Anything else?
Yeah, I've got a concern about the warning whistle.
Oh yeah.
If I'm in the risk area when the warning whistle goes off, will it be losing a lot of air?
No, it won't. First and foremost, you should be well out of the risk area. By making regular gauge checks while you're in the incident, you will be building up a mental picture of how much air you're using, and you should be well clear of the risk area before your whistle sounds. However, the design of the set is such that there is a restrictor in the base of the whistle which restricts the amount of air going through the system and through the whistle to 2 litres a minute. So that's all you're losing through your whistle.
Can you just tell me what the rubber piece is inside on the mask?
Yes, certainly. That's the orinasal mask or inner mask. Its primary function is to reduce dead space. By reducing dead space, it stops the build-up of exhaled gases and carbon dioxide, which would stimulate the part of your brain that controls your breathing function, which would make you actually breathe faster and therefore reduce your cylinder capacity. Also, it helps to stop your visor misting up because the air enters through the port on the left, and goes across your visor first before we breathe it in via these little mushroom valves. Also, thirdly, it directs exhaled air straight to atmosphere, so it's not mixing with the fresh air that we're getting in from the cylinder.
Before a BA set is made available for use, it must be put through a general check.
Before we do that, we're going to make sure that our first breath mechanism is operated, this little black button, just fully depress it, and that our bypass valve is closed. We're going to check that by turning it fully clockwise. Then we open the cylinder, ensuring that the contents is at least 80%. Okay, we open it fully and we read the gauge. We check that we have a minimum of 80% cylinder contents, which we have. We then close the cylinder and ensure that the gauge does not drop more than 10 bars in 1 minute. Okay, no problems there. I'm going to open the cylinder back up again. Make sure it's open fully, and I'm going to don the face mask. Remember how I said to don it before? Chin in, make sure that the spider's unravelled, make sure that the clips are all undone to the maximum. We're going to put our chin in, put the harness over our head, and then we're going to tighten. Bottom two, and then the top two, pulling backwards, not out to the sides. Make sure I've got a good sail. I'm then going to breathe in. I'm going to get the set cycling, in and out a few times. I'm going to check that my set is in positive pressure by placing my finger in between the face and the face mask and making a leak. I'll listen for the air rushing out. I'm also going to operate my bypass valve to make sure it's working, and then I'm going to breathe the set all the way down. When I've breathed the set all the way down, I must note on my gauge that my whistle sounds at between 45 and 40 bars. If it doesn't, the set's failed. When the set is exhausted of air, I'm going to keep it on and I'm going to breathe till it crushes to my face. When it crushes to my face, if I have a leak then or a fail of my seal, it will pop off my face because air is getting in. So I'm going to do that now for you.
Your first breath starts the airflow. Check for positive pressure by moving the mask away from your face and hear the rush of air. Operate the bypass valve. The vacuum holds the mask sealed onto the face. End the tests by closing the first breath mechanism and ensure that the bypass valve is closed.
Okay gents, we're going to look at donning the set itself. This is where teamwork starts. You'll always have a partner with you. Get him or her to assist you donning the set. The first thing we do is we put on our neck straps and protect the face mask. Stand the set up onto its rubber buffer. Put our right arm through the shoulder harness and lift it onto our backs. Put our left arm through the shoulder harness and just flick it onto your shoulders. Once it's on your shoulders, grab the straps and in the skiing action, lean forward, pull down and adjust the set to fit your back. Okay, you don't want it too high up so that this sticks out, and you don't want it too low down so that it's digging in the base of your spine. When you're comfortable, fasten your waist strap. Don't get your waist strap too tight. You want a good fist. Allow movement and allow you to breathe. Okay? When you're taking it off, undo everything. Slacken everything off. Make sure it's fully slackened off. Slip your left arm out. As you do that, either get someone to help you, get your buddy to help you, or stand it on a suitable surface and at the same time just slide your arm out. Lay it down, and the last thing we take off is the neck strap.
Practicing donning the set and testing it is most important in order to ensure that if you're required to use one in an emergency, you are entirely familiar with these procedures.
That's it, stand it up, right arm through, left arm through, thumb through the thumb loops, pull her down, good, nice and comfortable, good, don't have them too tight. Okay, we're going to go through a nice controlled start-up. I want to see you making sure that your first breath mechanism is depressed. Make sure that your bypasses are closed. Yeah, and open your cylinder valves. Okay, remembering what we spoke about this morning, how we're going to put the masks on, chin in, head harness over, bottom two, top two. Pull back, not out to the sides. In your own time, gents. That's it, chin in first, that's it, good. Pull yourself back, back. Just adjust your top one to suit yourself. Okay, breathe when ready. You'll notice it takes quite a breath to overcome that first breath mechanism. Okay, breathe in and out a few times. Okay, operate your bypasses, make sure you know where everything is. Okay, have a look at your gauges. If you can't read your gauges, gents, turn in and get your partner to read it for you. Okay?
200.
Okay, good. Breathe in and out a few times. Get the set cycling, good. So that we don't get a leak of air, I want you to take a great big breath, press your first breath mechanism, and then release your head harness. You do that by flicking the two metal straps either side of your head. Just give me a hand. There's your metal straps, okay? In your own time, take a breath, press your first breath mechanism, release your head harness, okay? Right, go. Right, go. Right, okay. The problem there is that you failed to press your first breath mechanism. You've got an air leak, don't panic, press the button again and it will all reset, okay?
Yeah.
Right, gents, turn your cylinder valves off. Okay, and release the pressure in your system by operating your bypass valves.
Putting on a BA set in a classroom in a calm and orderly manner is a completely different experience from doing it in an emergency. Let's follow a simulated fire exercise to see how it should be done.
To the bench. All right, gentlemen, you've done it in the classroom, you've done it in fresh air. We're now going to enter a smoke-filled environment. Remember your BA shuffle, stick to your bulkhead. Your reference point for this will be a right-hand lay. Okay, gentlemen? Right, make your entry.
The actual entry into a hazardous area with a BA set will be controlled by a senior officer at the entry control centre, set up near the point of the emergency. On many occasions, when you're required to work with BA sets, the location will be smoke-filled or dark. Inexperienced wearers of BA sets will quickly lose orientation. To counteract this, always use reference points, such as a wall or bulkhead, along your route in and out of the danger area. It's important to remain calm, keeping in continuous physical contact with your fellow team member. Avoiding confusion is most important. Therefore, communication must be slow and clear, using the language of the crew on board ship and recognized phrases only. Use no slang and no abbreviations. They can be misunderstood. Loss of vision is unexpected and confusing. It's easy to understand how in such a situation one could get lost or orientated, even in familiar places. It takes some time to get used to it. This should be practiced with regular on-board drills and training. It is most important to practice wearing a BA set whenever possible. This is why, on board ship, regular exercises are held to simulate the conditions of a real emergency.
You got your pressure check?
300.
After a roll call at the mustering stations, it was discovered that a crew member was missing. This was reported to the bridge, where the master took control of the emergency response. Even though the BA sets were tested, as we've seen earlier, a pre-entry test must be carried out in fresh air near the entry point. An entry control board is set up near the point of entry, which must show the name and rank of the BA wearers, their tally numbers, the cylinder content at the time of entry, the time of entry itself, and the expected time of leaving the danger area. The exit time is set for when the warning whistle is expected to activate. By this time, the BA wearer must be out of the danger area. If they're not, a rescue party is sent in for them. In all circumstances, it is most important to ensure that the BA team face as little risk as possible and work in optimum safety. This means careful risk assessment before use and control throughout an incident. And the BA team must continue to assess the risk as their circumstances change. This is for their own safety. There should be clear instructions as to how this is done in the ship's own safety manual based on the national guidelines, such as the Code of Safe Working Practices for Merchant Seamen. These directions apply equally while backing up routine operations, where a permit to work may apply. Anti-flash hoods would also be worn if the entry party were to fight a real fire. If they come across any obstacles or source of hazard, they must issue a clear warning to other members of the party. The fire party informs the entry control center that the area is filled with smoke, but no sign of fire is visible. The two members of the fire party discover a casualty. The first task is to inform the entry control center and at the same time try to remove the casualty from the danger area. The casualty is taken to a safe place as soon as possible, and a backup party takes over.
What's your pressure, lads?
This team is using 300 bar air cylinders. They used up too much air for re-entry.
You haven't got enough pressure to go back.
As the first fire party used up most of their cylinder content, either new cylinders must be fitted to their BA sets, or, if numbers permit, 2 new members will don BA sets and enter the danger area to continue the work.
Rest now and I'll send them back up here to you.
In all cases, the relevant details are posted on the entry control board, including the exit times of the first fire party. Each time breathing apparatus has been used, it must be cleaned and the face mask disinfected. A visual check should discover any damage that may have occurred. In such cases, this must be reported to an officer and the BA set taken out of service. Otherwise, clean the set with lanolin soap and use a disinfectant on the face mask. If you have a compressor on board, the used cylinders can be refilled with air. It is vital that the air to be used to charge the cylinders is clean, fresh and filtered. So air from outside confined spaces must be utilized and its quality verified by a competent officer. Only one thing remains to be done. A newly charged cylinder is fitted to the BA set and it is stored safely, ready for use at any time in case of an emergency. In conclusion, get to know the BA set used on board your ship.